Welcome back to my fish room, guys. Today we're going to build a breeding tank for some rams. I have this tank behind me that has been set up and had different fish in it, from hillstream loaches to guppies. So it is a seasoned tank. Now I currently have it empty at the moment. I just removed all of the bristlenose plecos that were in there, and it is ready for a new fish. So my thought process was that I would like to breed some rams. Now I've been breeding angelfish for a while, and I figured it's time to step up a little bit and try a fish that's a little bit more difficult. So I know rams are a little bit more difficult than angels, usually because their fry are really, really small. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this tank up. I've gotta clean it, get that sand sort of refreshed, add some things in there, make a little bit more of a nice homely home for these beautiful rams. Oh, and if you guys are new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. I do a whole bunch of different kinds of videos, from talking to people about their fish rooms, breeding videos, tips and tricks, things like that. So welcome if you are new here, and let me know in the comments if you have recently subscribed and you like my videos, and if you have any ideas of any fish videos that you guys want to see, questions, I will happily answer. Okay, let's get started on this little tank build. So the first thing I'm going to do here is just basically refresh the sand. I'm going to pick up all of the gunk, all the mold that's sitting at the bottom here, just make it a little bit neater. I'm not too worried about picking up sand, as I'm going to add more substrate to this tank anyway. So all I'm really trying to do here is just get that sand looking a little bit better than it does now. I'm also going to try and suck up as many snails as I can find. Pretty happy with that. I don't think we need to do much more. Now I am going to keep all of the plants in here in pots, because these plants that are currently in here, they have both been doing really, really well. So I'm not going to remove them from this tank. They seem to enjoy it. I'm also going to I might add some more pots just with some more plants in there, just to give the fish a little bit more hiding space and places to be, and places to feel more comfortable. So because this is a breeding tank, I'm not going to add any extra substrate or anything like that. I was originally, as I mentioned, but I've decided against it, simply because I'm not planning on planting anything in here. I'm just going to have pots with plants in them, and of course the stones and breeding areas for these rams. I have a little baby plant in a pot that I'm going to add. So I'm going to add this plant here. I think it's a sword. I've had it for a while, but it's never actually done really well in the tank that it was in. So what I'm going to do to remedy this is I'm going to pop it in this tank, which these two potted plants have done really, really well in. And I'm also going to add a root tab to it. I think it needs a little bit more nutrients. So I got these root tabs recently. I've never used them before. I've always used the Bunnings ones, which do work really well, but they don't last very long. So I grabbed myself a little packet of the API root tabs. So I have been testing them on a few different plants, one of them being this pot here, which is holding onto my Cryptocorum Rosen Maiden. A lovely plant. It's been doing really, really well. And I put the tablet in there maybe like a week ago. So far so good, and it's actually pushed out a new leaf for me, so I'm quite happy with that. So what I'm going to do for this plant here, I've just got a little tiny piece that I broke off, and I'm just going to shove it in there. There. So hopefully that will be enough for this one to hopefully get a little bit better. It has got some new little leaves coming out though, so I'm very happy with that. So hopefully I'll have a fuller plant in not too long. So let's get this one in here. Probably just stuff it there. I've got a whole bunch of this moss, floating moss, which is, it's clean, which is nice, because a lot of the time this moss gets just completely overrun with duckweed and it's ruined. But this tank is very, very clean, which makes me happy. There is a couple of duckweeds in there, but That's all right, we'll get rid of them later. Now that I've got my 3 pot plants, I'm gonna think about putting in some stones for my rams. Rams like to spawn on flat surfaces, so I want to give them a few places in different spots that they can think about spawning from. So that's a couple in there like that. Now I'm actually going to go grab their little hut because I did make them a little hut, which I'm going to pop sort of in the middle here. It's just a little terracotta pot that I have broken up just to give them like, so that they don't have to guard the whole lot. They only really need to guard a little tiny bit of it. So that's sort of where I'm at with that. So I think that's that's some really good places for them to go ahead and guard if they choose not to spawn in their little hut, if they don't like that one. I think what else we should put in here maybe is some foxtail. I don't want the top to become completely covered and no light get through, because the plants that I've got here in the pots definitely need the light. So we don't want to do that. We want a little bit more, I think we want a little bit more fluffy, a little bit more bushiness, just to keep these rams happy and safe and feeling secure. I just got like just a nice bunch of foxtail. I'm gonna put a weight on it, and I'm just gonna get a little plant weight. I'm going to, just in the middle here, I'm just gonna basically make it a little heavy. Now the best way to know if your foxtail is doing well is if it's shedding, needs more food. I think this foxtail can go here in the back. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So now what I'm thinking, let's fill her up and see how it all sort of sits. I think that's the best plan. Now I know that all of the things that I've added to this tank have come from other tanks, so I know that they are covered in beneficial bacteria, so I'm not worried about cycling this tank. I do want to mention to you guys though that when you are starting up a new tank, you always want to cycle your tank before you go ahead and put livestock in there. But because my tank was already set up, it had previously had fish in it, it's been empty for maybe a couple of days. There were snails in there as well, so they were still pooping and making beneficial bacteria, so I'm not too stressed about it. Plus, all the things that I pulled out, bar these 2 rocks, came from another tank. So I'm not too worried about it not being safe for livestock pretty much immediately. That plant weight's not heavy enough, because this foxtail is lush. Foxtail is actually a really great plant to help keep your water clean, because it is quite a heavy feeder. So it does take a lot of the nutrients, plant nutrients out of the water, which is of course the nitrates that we don't want our fish to have issues with. So if you do have some problem with that, get some foxtail, pop it in there, she'll fix her right up. It's a bit gunky now because it needs to settle again. But I got most of the moss out, so happy with that. There's still a little bit of moss in there, and hey, it might grow back, so nothing wrong with that. What I am gonna do now though, I need to add a heater. Now rams tend to breed at a higher temperature. So we're gonna need a heater for this tank. I'm gonna put this heater on to 28, but what we're gonna do now, the heater's in, she's on, let the tank heat up and we'll come back. Okay, so it's been a couple of days. We're gonna put the fish in now. The tank has heated up to that 28 degrees Celsius, which I think was 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and they should be good enough to go in and start getting used to their surroundings. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is getting them ready for breeding. So we are going to jump into what I am currently feeding them. So the next step in this whole breeding process is to condition your fish. I've just popped these two in there. They are definitely a pair. The way that I can tell is, of course, the boy has a nice big head and is very, very colorful. The girl has sort of like a red tummy. That's where the eggs are growing. Now, you can't always tell that way, of course. The other way to tell is with their fin shape. The boys will have a pointy fin and the girls will have more of a rounded fin on their top dorsal. Conditioning fish, that's what I want to touch on. It is definitely a must, and you are going to get a better lot of eggs from these fish if you do condition them, feed them well. I like to feed a mixture of things, but that includes a high protein pellet. Now, I don't mind what brand you use. So I use quite a few different ones. I use Dimax, I use DRP. I also have a color flake that I'm using as well, because these guys are a beautiful gold color. I am upping their vitamins to get that nice gold to always look good, of course. This is another high protein. So this one is 33% protein, which is pretty good. But I quite like Aquamunch as well. I've just started using this brand and I've found that the fish really, really enjoy it. So definitely, if you can get your hands on that, I recommend it. The other thing that I'm using is live food. Live food is like the best. It's the best of the best. If you can feed live food, feed live food. I'm mostly doing baby brine shrimp. They love it. And there's something about the baby brine in the water that makes them like also think, oh, well, there's baby brine in here. If I have babies, the babies will have food. So I definitely do baby brine. I've also got some white worm culture happening right now. So I have been feeding them a little bit of white worms, but I'm trying to get my culture up. But if I had more, I would feed them white worms as well, because they love to shift through the sand to find more food. If you can do live food, do live food. But like I said, I mix it up a little bit. I give them pellets, I give them flake, and I do live. I feel like that's the best. Now, it's gonna take a little bit longer for these guys. Like, it's gonna take a while to condition your fish up. So you are looking at about a week, maybe week to a month, depending on how good your fish were living at the store or wherever you got them from. I got these guys from a store, so they definitely need a little bit of fattening up. I also like to crush food up so that it's like fine, not too fine, but like a little bit more fine than in a pellet form. That means that they're going to it's going to sort of get everywhere. And when they're rummaging through all of the sand, they're going to find little pieces of food they can eat throughout the day as well. So that's what I like to do. And yeah, so that's what I recommend you guys do. All right, guys, so that is part 1 of our ram breeding video. Now, this is, of course, was your setup and conditioning. So I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I do have a part 2 that will be coming out shortly, but it will all depend on how we go with these guys and how they're breeding. So part 2, I'm hoping to show you them, of course, breeding and having their eggs, and then what I'm gonna do to raise the fry and, of course, get them to adulthood. So if you guys want to see that, definitely like this video. Leave me comments down below, because I want to hear about what your thoughts are, what your experiences are, all those sort of things. So definitely let me know. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one.